Disclaimer. If you have any intention of reaching legend, if you have any intention of getting mascots, if you have any intention of doubling, tripling, even quadrupling your rep earned per hour, I advise you to not skip any part of this video. And I know this is a long video, so the temptation is going to be to skim through the video and pick up on bits and pieces here and there. Trust and believe that however long this video is, if you watch it all the way through and absorb the knowledge that I'm going to give to you, it will save you a ton of time in the long run. You will be repping up way faster than you could have been repping up before you watch this video. In this video that I'm kind of calling the rep Bible, I'm going to go over every single position in every single game mode and teach you guys how to get the maximum amount of rep possible per hour on whatever build you play. Now understand, different positions get more rep, different archetypes get more rep, and different game modes give more rep. I'm going to go over that in this video, so trust me, stay tuned and just hear me out, listen to the math. I did all the hard work for you. Now you just got to sit back, relax, and take it all in. Also keep in mind, results will vary. I can teach you guys how to do these things, but I can't guarantee that you can go out there and do them. So if you're not earning as much points as I earned, you got to remember, this year it's a performance-based system, which is why I like this system. It's not necessarily based on winning the game. It's about performing to the highest level each and every game, which is why anybody can reach legend. You don't have to have unlimited games in order to do it. You just have to be willing to buy in and get the maximum amount of rep per game. Like I said, last warning, I advise you to sit through this video. This is not going to be the most funny video. This is not going to be the most exciting video, but this video is going to teach you more than probably any rep method video out there. As you know, I hit legend first, and I hit legend way faster than anybody else, to the point where people think I'm legitimately boosting, which I never boosted a day in my life. I just know what I'm doing. So trust and believe, I'm teaching you every single thing I know about rep in this video. Sit back, relax, buckle up your seatbelts. Let's get right into the video, man. Things you need to know aside from the rep method. Number one, you earn points based on what your player was made to do. So if you are a slasher, slashing is going to get you points. For example, dunking, floaters, euros, all that stuff is going to get you more points than shooting would. Same thing for point guards. If you are a playmaking point guard, you're going to get more assists for alleys, flashies, all that kind of stuff than you would for shooting three-pointers or dunking the ball. It's just, you have to play the way your archetype was made. Something else to keep in mind that I'm going to break down in a minute is that every build, every position gets different point values, and different positions get more point values than others. It's just the way that it is. Number two, you can only rep up fast if your teammates are successfully getting rep too. I say this because your teammates have to know how to farm rep, and your teammates have to be engaged to the idea of getting rep, because there are times when this isn't as fun as playing normal would be. And at the end of the day, that's why I tell you not to skip around in the video, because your teammates need to know how to effectively do this too. So be sure to share this with your teammates, because in order for you to perform and get enough rep, they have to be doing the same things you are. And everybody will get rep, which will allow you to play longer. Trust me, it's beneficial for your teammates to understand what you're doing and how you do it, for them and for you. Number three, your results will vary. Again, I'm not playing for you. I don't have the controller in my hand. So you might not get as much points per hour as I was getting. I may have gotten more points than you. I may have done this more than you or that more than you. And then at the end of the day, it is what it is. But understand that if you understand these concepts, you will double, triple, and quadruple the amount of points you're getting per hour than if you were just playing the way you were playing before. I'm not holding any secrets back. This is every single thing that I know about rep, position by position, game mode by game mode, and trust me guys, this video will change your progression, and this video will allow you to, if you're bought in, hit legend by the end of NBA 2K20. So without further ado, without holding back any longer, let's get right into these tips, man. So there are 3 different game modes that you can play in order to earn rep, and each one of these game modes give you different point values. You can play Park, you can play 3v3 Pro-Am or regular Pro-Am, and you can play Rec Center. So let's go over the pros and cons for each one of those game modes. Let's start with 2v2 Park. 2v2 Park, number one, the pro is that you only require one other person to play it. Another pro is that the games typically go faster if you can keep the ball. However, sometimes it can be a con, because when you give the ball up, the game tends to take a little bit longer. If you can fly through games and try not to give the ball up, I would advise you to play like this. Although this isn't what I played the most, 2v2 is an easy thing to do where you do not depend on a lot of people and you can get a decent amount of point values. Something you have to keep in mind though is that you get less points for doing things in 2v2 than you do in 3v3 because 3v3 takes a tiny bit longer, which that doesn't hurt you unless the games take as long as a 3v3 game would, and then you're making less points for a 2v2 game than you would for a 3v3 game, which is why I always preferred playing 3v3. For example, I don't have the point values written down for this, but you can see it for yourself if you've played the mode. A posterizing dunk in 2v2 is worth less than getting a posterizing dunk playing 3v3 park. So that is something to keep in mind. If you are not flying through 2v2 games, I would advise you to not play 2v2 because 2v2 can really slow down your progress. And that's not to say that I didn't play 2v2 because there was a lot of times where I did play 2v2. 2v2 is very rewarding if you have good chemistry with one person, you don't have a good third, and you know that you can fly through the games. But 2v2 can also stall you out because sometimes 2v2 games last quite a long time. Here's where I'll give you another little pro tip just randomly. I would advise you to have more than one position. So when I go over the position breakdowns on which give you the most points, I would advise you to go out and make another one of those builds because it's so much easier when you don't have to wait around on people. If you have a point guard and a center, you don't have to wait for anybody to play. You can always hop in and play with somebody, or a point guard and a sharp, or a sharp and a slasher, etc., etc., etc. Keep that in mind. Make sure you're not limiting yourself to one build because then it's going to be harder for you to find people to play with and it's going to be harder for you to match a certain amount of progression per hour. The second game mode, 3v3 park. I played mostly 3v3 park. I think 3v3 park is the best game mode because you get more points for what you're doing. So in a game to 21, I don't feel like the games take that much longer than a 2v2 game would. And I know for a fact that there were a lot of times where I would finish 3v3 games faster than I would finish a 2v2 game. And a 3v3 game is also more profitable when playing in specific styles. So when I'm going over these positions, I'm going to tell you what game modes I would advise you to play in order to get the maximum amount of progression. But again, everybody's different. Everybody has a different play style. So what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. But I played mostly 3v3, and that dabbled between Pro-Am 3v3 and it dabbled between Park 3v3. But towards the end, and really, I would say at about the maybe 40% mark of, the whole grind, 40% into it, I started playing purely Park, and I played mostly Park 3s. Now, I did play Park 2s, like I said, but Park 3s is the most profitable way to go. Keep in mind, this is only profitable, though, if you're getting games. So if you're not somebody that's getting a lot of games, I would advise you to look into 3v3 Pro-Am. 3v3 Pro-Am is the same point values as 3v3 Park. However, it's a matchmaking system. So if you're not somebody that's getting any games or you always have dead parks, if you're doing 3v3 Pro-Am, you will always have a game because you're searching. The cons of this, though, is there are search times. You do have to load into the Pro-Am court. You have to search. You have to go through that loading screen. In Park, it's like somebody gets on the spot, the game starts. In this, it's like you get a game, you have to go through a couple loading screens. It just takes a little bit longer. So if you are somebody that doesn't have problem, getting games, then I would advise you to play Park. But if you do have that trouble in getting games, I would say maybe look into doing some 3v3 Pro-Am. Like I said, 3v3 Pro-Am is the exact same as 3v3 Park in regards to the point system, and it didn't always used to be like that. 3v3 Pro-Am used to be the heavily weighted game, and that got significantly nerfed because you used to be able to get way more points per game than you can now. Things are capped now, which I will get into later, but any of the game modes that I listed are profitable in getting points. Now let's start talking about Rec Center. Rec Center is capped, but Rec Center has a different kind of cap. Rec Center allows you to get a significant amount of points per game. Here's why I didn't play any Rec Center. Number one, when you're playing Rec Center, you are dependent on 4 other people. And for me, I didn't want to be dependent on 4 people. It takes a lot of time to get 4 people that are bought into the idea of allowing you to get a lot of rep. And it also takes time because usually after 1 or 2 rec games, somebody's dropping. So then you have to waste time loading up. You have to waste time finding this position or that position. And to be honest, when it was going on where you couldn't even get people in your squad without dashing, I was like, I'm not going to waste my time doing this. And I will say a lot of people fall in love with the idea that, hey, they're getting 50,000 points a rec game instead of getting 11,000 points in a park game. But keep in mind, that park game, you did not require 5 people. That park game, you didn't have to get 5 people in one park. You didn't have to go through a 40-minute game. Don't get baited into the idea that, hey, I'm seeing 50, 60,000 points from a rec center game, this has to be the move. Rec center is profitable, but keep in mind it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of patience, because I'm telling you, it is not easy to get enough people to play rec center with consistently. I think rec center is personally bait. That's just my opinion. But different people have different success, different strokes for different folks. Like, I can't tell you what to do, but I will tell you I probably played 4 games of rec center and I probably finished 2 of them. But again, I've never enjoyed rec center. Rec center is mentally too mind-numbing for me, and I just never enjoyed it. But I don't think that when it comes to point values, it was worth playing. And rec center is weighted the same as regular 5v5 Pro-Am. Private matchmaking does not really give you any points, so I would not advise you to do that. But you can play regular 5v5 Pro-Am, same type of thing as rec center. But I'm telling you guys, when it comes to farming rec, your best bet is to stick to the park. I would not advise you to load up and play rec center. And I'm telling you, a lot of people get baited into seeing that big number at the end screen. And I'm telling you, sometimes you can't just look at the numbers. You have to look at how long things take. And I think a lot of people don't do that. So boom, if you've made it this far, you have made it past the game modes. And now we will get into the good stuff. Now it's time to break down the positions, and it's time to break down what you need to do with the position. And it's time to get into the nitty and gritty, man. Let's go. All right, so we're going to break down each and every position, and I'm going to explain to you how to get the most rep at that position. Something to note though, like I said, every position gives off different rep values. The top rep positions are point guard, slasher, sharp, and then center. And sharp and center are kind of tied, but point guard and slasher have a significant amount of more rep per game than the other two. Keep that in mind as we start breaking down these positions. So let's start off with the most profitable position, point guard. In order for you to maximize the amount of rep that you get, I would advise you playing on a playmaker primary build, so the pure playmaker pie chart. That is the build that's going to give you the most rep at the point guard position. As you can see on the screenshot right here, there are several different kinds of assists that you can get. There are alley-oop assists, which gets you the most points, attack assist, pick and roll assist, and what you don't see on here that I would do as well is flashy assists. So there are 4 kinds of assists that you can be looking to get throughout the game. So a lot of people think, oh, okay, hey, I'm just going to throw alley-oops all game, but that's not smart. Something to keep in mind is that alley-oops cap out at a certain amount, and for whatever reason, that amount changes throughout the game. So sometimes alley-oops will only register 4, sometimes it will register 5, and the most I've seen it register is 6. So I made a mental note that once I threw 5 lobs, I was not going to throw any more lobs unless it was just there. I wasn't going to go out of my way to get lobs. What I would do once I hit a certain amount of lobs is I would say, okay, hey, I'm going to go get an attack assist, or I'm going to get a flashy assist, or I'm going to get a pick and roll assist. Now understand, every single position has a cap that you can get. So you could get 20 alley-oop assists. Well, obviously you can't get 20 alley-oop assists, but you could get 11 alley-oop assists, and you're only going to get registered for a certain amount. And sometimes you would do attack assist, and you won't get points for it because for whatever reason, in order to keep you from maximizing your games, now they cap you out at a certain amount. So the most you're going to get from playing these games is about 15,000, and that's on a good game with good opponent strength. As a point guard, I said in my mind that I would not get less than 12,000 a game. 12,000 was my baseline. Now, obviously, could I get that every single game? No. But typically, I would say I averaged around 12,000 points a game, if not more than that. And there were always games where I would get the 14,000s, sometimes 15,000 and 13,000. But I would set my goal to be 12,000. And obviously, if you have somebody pulls up on you, they're really good, you might only get 9,000. Sometimes you're just not going to have a good game. They're not going to allow you to get assists. There were several games where I really couldn't get assists and I just had to go score the ball. And those are games where you're not going to get as many points as you could, of course. But yeah, the benchmark you should be setting is 12. And I wouldn't even say 12 is like a good game. That's like your benchmark that you should be hitting every game. There were really no games that I did not hit 12,000 points. And that's how you should be looking at it. Like, I need to get at least 12,000 points this game. And if I'm not getting 12,000 points, I'm not playing up to the potential that I should be playing to in regards to farming rep. And the opponent strength thing is huge because what I notice is a lot of people, when they see anybody good on the got next, they get right off the spot and they don't play it. That is the dumbest thing you could do. You think that playing lower level players is smarter because they're not as good at the game, but I'm telling you guys, opponent strength can really change the amount of XP you get per game, which you'll see in the slasher screenshot that I'm going to be doing next. The game mode that I would advise you to play as a playmaking point guard is threes. I would advise you to run with a slasher / interior finisher, and I would advise you to run with a shooting center. The slasher allows you to get your alley-oop assist off, and then you can get attack assists by having a pop center. You can also take your layups, dunks, etc., etc. That is the ideal lineup that I would run with. If you are running twos, I would advise you to just run with an interior finisher. That's at least 6'10". That way you guys can run the infamous play that I like to run, the little pick and roll off the inbound, stuff like that. But make sure you have a slasher on the court with you at all times. Slashers, this is your year. You are a necessity in order to farm rep. Now keep in mind, you don't have to run this lineup. You could do straight flashy assists, attack assists, and pick and roll assists with an inside center, an outside center, and a sharp. You know, like, you don't have to necessarily have this lineup. This is just the most ideal lineup to have in order to get the most points per game at the fastest rate per game. Also, guys, keep in mind, winning is huge too. Like, a 1200 win bonus might not sound like a lot, but over time, like, your win bonus really stacks up, guys. So make sure you're doing everything in your possible, like, don't just lose the game to get the rep. Like, make sure you're trying to win the game too. But when you know you can win the game, go out of your way to get the extra rep. The second position that gets the most rep: slashers, interior finishers, the athletic pie chart, guys. Let me put it like this. If you know what you're doing with a slasher or an interior finisher, you can get more than a point guard. You could really get the most rep out of everybody in a game, but sometimes it's not as easy for a slasher to get their rep. You see in this screenshot right here, this slasher got 16.6 thousand my points, guys. Like, that is a lot of points. Now understand, that can go up and that can go down. Something to note about this guy's screenshot is that all he got credit for was alley-oop dunks and posterizer dunks. As a slasher, those are the things that you need to be seeking. You need to be looking to get your lobs, and again, keep in mind, like I said in the point guard, those cap out at a certain amount, and you need to go for posterizers once you get to that certain cap. But when things aren't there, guys, you have to do the other things. So regular dunks do not get you points like other types of layups will. A regular layup, an acrobatic layup, a floater, a euro step, all those different things will get you more points than just going to the paint and dunking will. And that's something that you got to keep in mind. Random fact, when I made my playmaker build, I made him with the inability to dunk on purpose. Why? Because you get more points for layups than you do for dunks. So I figured it would be worth it for me to never even have the temptation to go dunk it, and I put my layup up. That way I just didn't dunk the ball and didn't waste any rep. That just shows you guys how I was thinking when I would play the game. That's how you guys need to be thinking. You need to say, okay, hey, if I have a wide open fast break, I'm going to do a floater. I'm going to do a euro step instead of just running up and dunking it. Like, that's the type of way you have to think when you're farming your rep. The caps for everything is kind of the same. So if you have 5 alley-oops, it's going to cap out the same way it would for a slasher. Now, I have seen it when I would play with certain interior finishers. They would get more credit than I would. So sometimes I would throw 8 lobs. Like, it's just there, so I'm still throwing it. And I would get my credit for my 5, and sometimes they would get like upwards of 7. 7 is the most I've seen for alley-oop dunks for a slasher. So I would say your safe bet would be to do 5. 5 is just the safe number that's what you're usually going to get credit for. You won't typically get credit for more than 5. But once you do 5, same way with point guard, once you throw 5, once you do 5, look for your contact dunks, look for your euros, and look for your floaters. And that's how you're going to maximize the amount of points you could get per game on a slasher or interior finisher. Lobs are weighted heavy because it's not necessarily the easiest thing to get. Once you're seeking them, it's kind of easy. But if you're playing with somebody with a brain that knows that you're out farming rep, they're not going to allow you to just throw a bunch of lobs. That's why lobs and posterizers are worth so much more than like a regular layup or dunk would be. So boom, there it is. That's the slasher, guys. And the thing to know is that, like, this is a build that you can make easily and you don't even really have to be able to shoot on. In regards to winning, especially on threes, I would say that you need to make one where you can shoot a little bit. And keep in mind, you can green with a 48 3 ball as long as you get your hot spots, all that good stuff, your badges, your point guard has floor general. There's different ways that you can keep your 3 ball low and you can still green. As a slasher, you can really play 3s or 2s. On 2s, you run the play that I would run with, the play. If you know me, you know the play. That's what I would run as a slasher. Or you can sit dead zone as a slasher on 3s. You know what I'm saying? You have to mix it up. Sometimes I would cut from the corner. Other times I would sit dead zone. You just have to mix it up. But if you're going to play as a slasher, I would say play your 2s, be the center. But again, you have to keep in mind, you have to be able to stop centers at that same time. So don't slow yourself down. 3s or 2s is the wave. Depends on how you play. If I was a slasher, I'd play 3s because it would be a lot easier for me to get on the fast break and catch my lobs. And it would also be easy for me to cut from the corner and get post-rise or dunks. As opposed to 2s where, you got to sweat a little bit more, and because you make one mistake, you're stuck playing defense for a little bit. I always say 3s is a safe bet, but I know some of you guys are very fiends for 2s, and you can earn just as much playing 2s as 3s if you get your games done quickly, like I talked about earlier. Now, guys, the first 2 positions were like kind of simple, easy concepts to grasp onto. From my sharps and from my centers, it's a little bit different of a story. You guys kind of got to lock in a little for this one. So let's start with sharps. If you're a sharpshooter, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, it is not easy for you to get a lot of points. They made it to where you really, really, really have to work for your points this year, especially as a sharpshooter. And like I'm telling you guys, realistically, sharp is not going to be the most productive way of getting points. The most I've ever seen a sharp get is 12. And like that's the most they've ever got. A sharp typically ranges between 9 and 10, usually 8.5 to 9. It just depends. Like a good sharp who's really getting the ball a lot can go from 9, 10, 11, 12. But your typical sharp is going to get between 8 and 9. Now, if you're a sharp and you want to rep up fast and you're stuck to the idea that you want to be a sharp, then you have to play with people that are going to go out of their way to get you the ball almost every time. A sharp's number one way of getting points is standstill 3. So you have to make sure that you're getting X amount of standstill 3s. And like I said, the golden number is 5. You want to know that for whatever you're doing, 5 is the typical cap for what they're going to give you points for. So the golden number is to get your 5 standstill 3s in, and then I would try to shoot leaning 3s. Now, again, leaniers are not easy to green, but I'm telling you, like, you guys got to understand, there's no other way to put it. Sharps is not easy to play. So you need your 5 standstill 3s, and then you need your leaning 3s. My best bet, if I'm a sharp, is I would play 2s, and I would look to shoot every shot. And that's just the way it is. I would look to get my standstill 3s in, obviously, but if I'm sharp, I'm just going to play 2s and shoot every single time that I can. Like, that's just how it's got to be, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to put up a good amount of points as a sharp. Now, can you play 3s? Yes, of course you can play 3s, but if you're playing 3s, you need to know going in that the point guard is going to go out of his way to look to get you the ball and look to get you open looks. Otherwise, you're just going to fall to the side and you're going to get your 4,000 or 5,000 a game because you're going to get, what, 6, 9 points? Like, it's not enough. You have to legitimately score a ton, which is why I would suggest just playing 2s. It doesn't really matter what lineup you run with. Like, if you're going to run 2s, I would say run with a pure glass center that's just going to look to give you the ball. If you're going to run 3s, you need to make sure that you have a point guard who is bought into the idea of giving you the ball. It doesn't matter what position he plays, because him being a pure playmaker or him being a pure lock doesn't change how many points you get. You just need to make sure you're getting your shots up, bro. Make sure if you're playing sharp, I literally cannot stress it enough, that you are the emphasis of the offense, or else you will not get my points, because it's just not easy to get my points. So again, understand that even on your best games, you will never put up as much as a slasher and a point guard would. It's just, it is what it is. Keep that in mind. Can you rep up fast? Yes, but you are really going to have to work hard to rep up. Like, in the beginning of the year, I ran with a slasher and I ran with a sharp, and my sharp would legitimately sometimes go out of his way and score 21 straight points, but he would get nothing for it because he would just shoot his little standstill or leaner 3s. Like, he would cap out at a certain amount, and even though he would carry the team, sometimes he wasn't scoring. Like, he wasn't getting anything from it. I know I've said that already, but I cannot stress enough that you're not going to be moving quick. But I trust and believe you can get to the highest rep. It's just going to be a lot more of a grind than it would be at another position. And again, it's a lot easier of a grind because it's not hard to play the sharp position and go drop 21, but it is a harder grind because it's going to be a little bit longer and a little bit more focused on you. With that being said, guys, like, that's sharp. Like, that's how you're going to get your rep as a sharp. So let's get into the center position. The last, well, arguably the last, because it's kind of tied with sharps. The last position we're going to speak on is center. Now listen, I had a lot of people fooled into the idea that center got you a crazy amount of rep. See, what you guys don't understand is I knew right away with the amount of account sharing that was going on, with the amount of boosting that was going on, I was going to have to find a way to get people to believe that this center build was like really going to give you rep. So I performed the greatest heist ever. When I found out about how PGs got rep, when I was getting a ridiculous amount of PG rep per game and I started catching up to people, what I realized is, okay, I want to play center in these rep ups and have the people in front of me believe that center is giving you some crazy amount of rep. So that way they take the time to go make a center, and then they take the time to try to figure out how I'm getting all this rep playing center. But the thing is, like, I never really played center. Like, I played center when I didn't have anybody on that I could play point guard with, but the reality of it is, if I had the option of playing point guard or center, I would never play center, because center will never equal the amount of points that point guards are getting. Understand, centers, you have your work cut out for you. Like, you are really in a tough position, like, in order to get rep. Now, this is nowhere near the best screenshot, but as you guys can see right here, this is what a center's thing looks like. This guy got 14 rebounds and got 1,764 points for it. Like I said, everything has caps, so understand that before you go out of your way thinking that if you have somebody chuck up 30 free boards for you, that it's going to give you X amount of points, because it's not. As a center, let me just tell you this. Twos is not for you. Twos is a game mode where you're really never trying to miss shots, and you're hoping that you don't miss shots so you don't give the ball up. With that being said, as a center, you need to be rebounding and you need to be getting well-defended plays. Those are your two things. The third thing that you need to get is pass to assist. Now, see, what a lot of you centers don't even realize is that you get more points for passing to an assist than you get for the actual assist. So if you're smart, what you would do is on the break, you would hit your point guard and he would be able to get a lob up to his slasher or a dot off to his sharp. You're going to get more points for that than you would have got if you hit RBLB and threw the break starter and got the assist for it. That's the type of things you guys got to realize. That's the little tips and secrets that you guys need to know. Like, you don't necessarily want to get assists as the center. You want to get the pass to assist, because for any position, pass to assist is worth more than a regular assist. And the people don't know that. So, like, pass to assists are low-key the wave if you're not going to be able to go do another thing. Like, pass to assists need to be in your arsenal. You need to get pass to assists as well. And obviously, those are capped out like everything else. But listen, I'm telling you, twos is not for you if you're playing center. Now, something I have not been able to experiment with is the playmaking center build. Now, what I'm thinking is that the playmaking center build might be the wave when it comes to rep farming, because you can throw lobs with a playmaking center, you can throw break starters with a playmaking center. Like, you're going to get more points for assists. I don't know how much more points. I don't know if it would be anywhere near what a point guard would get. But, like, as a center, guys, like, your glass lock is not going to get you a ton of points, and it is what it is. You just have to suck it up and deal with it. The last time I'll say it, like, I cannot stress it enough, you have to play threes. Like, playing twos is not going to get you any points. It's just not. You need to be playing threes. You need to be telling your guards to force them to get to the paint so you can get well-defended plays, and then you need to get your pass to assists and your rebounds. Like, that's how you're going to get rep as a center. Scoring is your last resort. Like, I would not try to score. If you don't need to score, don't score the ball. You need to be getting games done quick. You need to get your well-defended play. You need to get your pass to assist, and then obviously your rebound, and that's going to be a productive play, and you need to get your games done, like, because you're not going to get 14, 15,000 points ever as a center, like, never, just like a sharp. So you want to make sure you're getting your games done in a timely manner, and you're still getting your 12,000 points in the process. The screenshot that I showed you wasn't even really a good game in regards to rep farming. I just didn't have any screenshots, and you could easily get 12,000, 13,000, depending on the opponent's strength. If you have a good opponent, you get 14,000, but you should be aiming for 11 to 12,000 on that. 12,000 is the bare minimum that you want to get at any position. Like I was saying earlier, at point guards, I set the bar at 12,000, but a point guard should really be aiming for like 13, 14,000. That's how you get a one-up on your opponents, but you can't really do that as a center. So you need to be aiming for your 12,000 per game. At the end of the day, guys, there's something that you have to understand about everything that I've told you. The most important part of repping up is understanding how the system works, which I just went over, and being able to go out and apply it. I legitimately repped up so fast to the point where people still accuse me of boosting even after all of the endorsing that 2K has done, because I was bought into what I was doing and my teammates were bought into what I was doing, and I made sure that each and every game I got the maximum amount of rep out of that game. And I'm telling you guys, you can too. You can hit legend, you can get the mascots, you can get whatever you want to get, and you can save yourself a ton of time if you go out and properly apply the things that I just taught you and the methods that I went over. Now, as I had said earlier, if you guys would maybe potentially like to see like me going over plays or how we would do different things, like in order to like get the floor space and ways that like that I would get the sharp to do, you know what I'm saying, like X, Y, and Z. Like if you guys would like to see actual physical ways that I played. If you didn't already see and you haven't already streamed, let me know like in the comments. Like, I don't know that I'll do a video on that. There's no guarantee that I'll do a video on it, but I can try maybe to do a video if that's something that you guys would like to see. But you guys got to understand, like, these are all the secrets. People really don't understand how I did it so quick. People don't understand how I'm not even averaging that much more assists than everybody else, but how I'm getting it done. Guys, understand, you can go get 5 assists and get 1,000 points for it, or you can go get 5 assists and get 9,500 points for it. And I'm telling you guys, like, it adds up. Every single secret that I know, I've instilled into you guys, and now it becomes, what do you do with the knowledge that I'm giving you? And all I went over is like the highest point ways to play, and this works for every single archetype. Like I had said earlier, if you are not a pure, you're not going to get as much points as a pure would get, but you will still get more points playing like this than playing any other way. But yeah, guys, that's really it for the video. Like, that is the secret rep method, guys. That is how I became the first, and really, I don't know if there will be any legends by the time that I post this, but really the first and only legend in NBA 2K20, all legit, guys. And people can say what they want. Like, people will never believe it no matter what. But, guys, like, I'm telling you, if you do this right and you go get 14, 15,000 a game, you can fly through these games and you will be legend before you know it, guys. Like, this is the secrets. These are the tricks. You can ask anybody that ever played with me. They always got more points when they played with me because I was so focused into what we were doing, and I wanted to make sure that I hit #1. So I was never really messing with my phone. I was never really like on the computer. Like, I wasn't watching anything else. I was focused on getting the most rep possible per game, and you guys can too. But yeah, guys, I hope that these secrets help you guys. If you've learned anything new today, if you've made it to this point in the video, man, drop a comment, drop a like, drop a sub if you're new, guys. I am not going to make like all tutorial videos, guys. If you go check out my last video, that's what the channel is going to be like moving forward. We're going to bring out fire content. I apologize for the lack of streaming. I've made 2 players and I played 50 reg games for the little NBA 2K League thing in the last week, so it's like I haven't really had time to stream. Plus, like, I got back into the gym. I started living, you know, like a normal life again. So trust and believe, though, if you're watching this video, I'm going to be back into the streaming cycle where I'm streaming daily again, and I will be uploading weekly. So there's good things to come. Know that, and the content will continue to be good. The content's only going to get better, guys. I promise you. So, like I said, if you're new or even if you're returning, be sure to look forward to the new content, guys. I'm telling you, I'm going to keep bringing the banger videos. You guys already know the vibes, but I appreciate you guys for watching this video, and I hope that this video genuinely helps you out. Share this video with your friends, guys, and look, I want to see everybody eat. So I want to see everybody with a mascot out there. I want to see everybody with the legend badges running around. Like, you know what I'm saying, guys? We can all go crazy together, so I hope that this helps you out. As always, it's your boy Choc, and I'm out. Peace.